Don't want to give away too much about the song, but the reason that I wanted to start with this song was when I wrote it. I had been playing around with songs for a couple of years, but honestly, I had never gotten anything that really satisfied me. I wanted to, and I kept at it, but you know, there were times when I thought, you know, am I just messing around here or what? And I'm not saying that this song is any good, you know, in any objective sense of the word. I mean, that's for other people to decide. But I sincerely hope that if you've never had this feeling before with whatever it is that you create, that whether anybody else likes what you do or not, or whether you publish anything or sell a single book or anything like that, to me that stuff doesn't matter. I think the ultimate payoff for an artist is if you can write one thing that you can step back from it and you can go, well, you know, that's pretty good, you know, and I wouldn't mind showing that to other people, or I hope I can do that again, you know, and this song was that for me. I put on the PowerPoint there in quotation marks the shot that kept me coming back. And I remember I had a friend when I was in high school who loved to play golf. And I was never very good at golf, but he would always drag me out to the course, you know, just when he couldn't get anybody else to play. He's like, oh, I'll come out and hit a few balls, you know, or whatever. And one time we were playing, and you know, it was all I could do to even make contact with the ball. But I remember one shot, I was about maybe 50 yards off the green, and he says to me, you know, trust me on this, why don't you just hit the 8-iron? And I didn't even know one iron from the other, but he's like, here, take this club, and I think that, you know, you'll be pleased or whatever. I was just happy to hit the ball, you know, but I swung the 8-iron, and the ball popped right up maybe 6 inches away from the pin. And I looked around at everybody and I'm like, hey, did y'all see that? You know, that's what I meant to do. You know, and I started thinking, you know, if I could do that every time, I would be all right. Well, I certainly can't do that every time, and maybe not even the same with songs. But whenever I talk about this song, that's the story I remember, because this is like me, for whatever reason, picking up the 8-iron and hitting it 6 inches from the pin, at least in terms of, you know, myself. I don't care whether anybody else likes the song or not. But this was a song that made me feel like maybe I could do this. And really ever since then, you know, I wrote this song in '94, there's a part of me that every time I'm working on a new song, I'm thinking, try to make it at least as good as Careless. You know, I don't try to write the same song over and over again, but you know, what I was saying to you is I hope you've all had that feeling. Okay, and if you never have, keep writing until you do. Okay, because when you do, it won't matter what anybody else says. You know, if you do something and you feel like, you know, you were firing on all cylinders and that's what you meant to do, or maybe it was even better than what you meant to do, that's what's going to keep you writing. And you know, I believe everybody who writes will get to that moment. In a way, it's almost like you're owed that moment. But if you haven't had it, keep going, because once you get it, you'll never want to quit. Okay, and this was that for me. So I'll play Careless for you. I'll never believe it was an accident. I'll never believe you don't know where your feelings went. But you're like a drunkard fumbling through the dark alone. You'll never know to let somebody take you home. You'll never believe you nearly made a mess of me. You'll never see the light or set your demons free. And I'd reach a hand to you if it do any good. But not even Jesus Christ would tell me that I should. Careless, careless. Fancier than free, you cast the caution to the wind. Careless, careless. I hope you find a way to let somebody. When was the last time that you drank the bitter cup? You say I'm out of line to bring the whole thing up. Well, I'm not always right and I seldom claim to be, but still I'll never understand the things you did to me. Careless, Fancier than free, cast a caution to the wind. Careless, careless. I hope you find a way to let somebody. And I had this dream last night. There was no wrong or right behavior, and it finally came to me. Last thing I'd be was your savior. So I ride an ocean heading for a farther shore, because I don't believe that I know you anymore. And I'd be the path to you if I knew the way. Send up a prayer for you if I knew what to say. Careless, careless. Fancier than free, cast a caution to the wind. Careless, careless. I hope you find a way to let somebody in. I hope you find a way to let somebody in.
When you first have the feeling come to you of a certain subject matter, so forth, do you hear your chorus first or your verses? Does some particular part of the song come to you first?
Well, that's a good question, and I think this playing that song was a good one to play in light of that question, because I can tell you a little something about this one. The title came to me first. I just heard, you know how things will happen. I heard somebody say the word careless, and some bell went off in my head, and I started hearing. I thought, well, what if I write a song called Careless? And I heard, the way I sing the careless, I heard that. And a couple of the other lines, I'm not saying the whole song fell into my lap right away. It certainly didn't. But that basic refrain about careless, I hope you find a way to let somebody in, that was pretty much what came to me first. And, if you were in the morning session, Dr. Harris was talking about having a nugget for the story. For me, it's the very same thing with the song. It may not have to do with something as specific as a conflict or anything like that. I mean, songs sometimes do tell stories, but they tell them in a very different way than stories do. But there is definitely a nugget. And a lot of times for me, if that nugget is powerful enough, I usually visualize it as maybe being a title, and I write around that. Sometimes I'll start writing the song and think it's going to be the title, but it ends up being a different element of the song or none at all. But I always have to start with something that's very strong, something that, in the simplest terms I can put it, just says to me, I can do a song around that. Okay?
Well, that would be your hook, maybe, too.
Definitely. Although I'm going to use the hook the word hook a little bit later, but I'm going to use it in a little bit different context than that. But I would maybe call it the kernel or the nugget. There's got to be something, a word or a line or an image, and that's always what gets me started. And with Careless, it was one that just having that and seeing that, I wanted to try to do a song around it was enough to get me going. Plus, I don't want to take up a lot of time with this, but this song was very much about a personal situation too. In fact, the unusual thing, and that's probably obvious from the lyrics, but the unusual thing about it was that as I was writing the song, and I wrote, if I remember right, I worked with, I got about 80% of the song probably within 30 minutes. And I usually don't do it that way. I don't want you to think that's normal, but it felt very much dumped in my lap. I heard lyrics, I felt them going in a certain direction, but it was only after I got it hashed out, I stepped back for a few minutes and I thought, I know what this song is about.